Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like
So I've
that.
also learned to be okay with that emotion, which
Yeah.
I didn't used to be as well. So because I've learned to be okay with my emotion
Yeah.
more and more, it's allowed me to be okay with the emotion of the child that I'm with and
Yeah.
what they're
Mm.
rather than try to put it like, here's a toy, here's a food, here's a cuddle, just stop, which is kind of, I used to be more that way inclined.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So it's
stop,
definitely.
distract. You don't want to feel that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went through that phase too.
So the
And
personal journey really does inform. Sorry, you go.
getting to that point of being able to be okay with the feelings as well, like giving yourself permission to let go of, any feelings that come up for you. Like for me, it was like stress mainly that came up for me. Like it was really stressful. And then realizing that it's okay and that, the child, or for me, it was my daughter, actually feels better after they release those emotions, and they're
Yeah.
able to, be stronger because their body's, I guess, unleashed or unblocked or whatever it needs to, and it can go on to the next stage of
There's more
development.
space available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think having that underlying understanding as well is really helpful to be able to let go of that, need to control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is like that personal journey as a parent or caregiver really does inform the ability to do that because there's a reflection.
Yeah, and you also have
Yeah.
to be aware of what you're passing on, because if you're reacting in a way that you're like stressed or triggered and you keep on doing the same patterns, distracting the child or whatever that is, then they're going to learn that pattern. So you may as well just change it now so that they don't need to pass it on.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
And then undo it later. And then they have to undo it later, which is what we're doing. We're undoing our patterns.
Yeah. And we're still going to pass on patterns that we're not even aware of. And then at least they can work on those ones rather than the ones that we're working on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll have more capacity to work on what they need to because we've lessened the workload.
For sure. So what are some ways that you use play during, your day-to-day activities to either like to release tension or to, try to instill some, I don't know if instill is the right word, encourage, I guess, some cooperation in the children you're working with?
So I guess one example is, say if a child, say we've got to get out of the house at a certain time to get another child to kinder or something like that, or we're booked in to go to something, and a child doesn't want to get dressed. This is an example because it's something I've been experiencing lately.
Yep.
There's two ways I've approached that situation, because the same thing doesn't always work every time either, or in every situation.
Yep.
Because every time they're in a different space, there might be another meltdown or tantrum, but it's not the same as the one last time. It's still different. So one way that sometimes works is turning it into a play, into a game, where it's like, this is my shop and I've got, this is my clothing store, and you're welcome to my clothing store. What would you like to wear? What would you like to purchase? So it's like they're buying the clothes and then they're happy to put them on. So it's literally just coming up with a game in the moment, which can come from knowing the child and what they're interested in and what they love to do as well. So that's one way I've encouraged them to get dressed. So it's not about me trying to get him to do something that he doesn't want to do, which is where the power play can come in, and you just don't get anywhere.
Yep.
So stepping out of that and turning it into a game in some way, so like that. Or like one day I just had to decide, okay, he just needed to cry and cry, you know, and I was present with him, but I had two other children to still get ready and care for and feed breakfast and all that sort of thing. So I just packed a lunchbox with his breakfast in it, and I went, you know what, it's okay if we're late today. So that's the other approach.
Yeah.
Just you take away that pressure to get them out the door, which is what they're feeling, which is what sometimes what they're reacting to. So take the pressure away. It doesn't matter if we're late today. And then it was all right to get dressed and leave. Have breakfast in the car. So that's not play. That's just another. I just thought of that as another way I approached it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so interesting. I had a few things come up for me when you were talking. So one is I realized that one of the games that I play when I'm trying to get my daughter dressed and she's resistant is I'll just put her clothes on like stupid places, like I'll put her pants on her head or a sock on her hand, or you know, just silly things like that, so that she laughs, and then she'll be like, no, that's not it, you put it here, and then, you know, she'll get dressed. I like the
it's
shop
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a fun one. And or I'll just say something silly like, oh, if you don't get dressed, then I'm going to bite your nose, or, you know, just like silly things like that you're obviously not going to do, but makes them laugh. Another thing is if she does need a boundary, like just to release the feelings, then I would probably just set like a firm boundary, like in a loving way, like, oh, I need you to get dressed right now, and then and I won't let you leave the house until you're dressed, or whatever that is, and then I just allow the space for her to have those emotions. And another thing that came up for me about feeling rushed is, and I think this is related to her birth as well, that I've noticed, and I've heard some other people say that the way that children are birthed almost imprints, I guess, some sort of behaviour and like how they react to situations. So for her, she was induced, and I think as a result of that, whenever she feels pressured into things, she resists so much, like she just pushes back a lot. So if she doesn't want to do something, there's no like encouraging her to help her build resistance and or whatever that is that she might need in that moment. She just pushes back so much. So I guess that's another thing that I have to be aware of too, that I don't want to push her too much, because that'll just put her off whatever it is completely. That's just individual to her. Yeah,
that makes so much sense. I've heard that as well, the imprinting of the birth. I feel like that's important to have that awareness. That's awesome that you realize that.
Yeah, something that has been obvious for a few years now. And I also, like, sometimes I watch other kids who can be easily encouraged to try something, and I'm like, why does that child do that? And then I realized, oh, okay, like this is obviously her, but I think this is where it's come from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I love play in that, and I love the spontaneity of it and how you can be really creative with it as well, and how it can also be a stress relief for the caregiver as well.
Yes, actually that was something came up when you were talking. The making them laugh, it breaks their state.
Yeah.
And sometimes enough to break them out of the loop they're kind of stuck on. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they just need to go through the cycle and through the emotion. But sometimes it just breaks them out of it, so then you can move forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, rather than getting onto that loop as well.
Yeah. And then you're both stuck in a power struggle, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you end up
Yeah.
probably like yelling or whatever it is.
Yeah, because there's nothing else to do if you're in that space.
Mm.
The solution doesn't come when you're in that space.
Mm. Yeah. And also another helpful thing that I've learnt through aware parenting is that when a child has lots of emotions, like when they're like really feeling the emotions and having, you know, what we call like a tantrum or a meltdown, actually talking to them or trying to reason with them isn't helpful at that point, because all of their energy is focused on one point of their brain where they can't comprehend, you know, any reasoning or language.
Yeah, the
or anything like that.
higher order thinking offline. Yeah.
Yeah. So they really just need to feel those feelings and let go of it, and then they can come back to that space.
Yeah.
I find
it's almost like the washing machine's going and it has to go through the spin cycle before it can come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so much chaos in that part that they can't, like there's no clarity.
And what I've learnt over the years actually is the sooner we're able to, I heard from someone else the phrase share your calm. The sooner we're able to drop into our calm and hold that calm space for their little storm, the sooner they get through it. But when we get anxious as well, it prolongs it and drags it out.
Yeah, and I like that, because that's also you being in that calm space is also their safety and their security, so that they know that everything is okay while they're feeling whatever they're feeling, and they're given the space to process that, and then they can come back to that safe place after.
Yeah, exactly. And then if they learn that that's what's going to happen, then they get better. I think they get better at it as well. Each time.
Yeah.
Which is a good imprinting to have, a helpful one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a good imprint. I can't think of a better word, so I'm just going to use the same one.
Oh, good.
I think what I was trying to say is like a foundation, I guess, like a, you know, something to build upon. If you have a strong foundation, then like a house has a strong foundation, it's not going to, you know, move or sway or anything. It knows where it's centered.
Yep, I like that.
Do you have any other, you know, values or any other tools that you use at all?
To share. I think we might have covered everything at this point. To share today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good chat. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and your insight. And I really like how you take that time to drop in before you respond as well. Like, it's really apparent how you do respond to children, because you're able to just stop, reflect, and then respond, which I find is a really valuable skill.
Oh, thank you. It's taken a bit of work to get there. Thank you.
For sure. No worries. All right. Thanks, Melissa.